Hey guys, this is kmcers whatever. I'm Kirsten, and this week we are honoring the people that we have lost over the years. And today's video is going to be about my father, Robbie Joe Nunn. So, Robbie Joe Nunn was born on July 10th of 1971 to Roger and Mary Ann Nunn. He was born in Friend, Nebraska. He has 6 siblings, 1 sister, and 5 brothers, and he is the baby in the family. He grew up in Fairmont, Nebraska, where he ended up graduating, and went on to go to Concordia University in Nebraska, and he was going for an art major, and he ended up needing to drop out to get a full-time job to take care of me when I was a child. He got married to my mother, Chastity Newhart, and they got married on June 25th of 1994 when they found out that they were pregnant with me. They got married in Dushler, Nebraska in my great-grandparents' backyard, which I thought was really kind of cool. Eventually I was born. We lived in Geneva, where my dad worked at IPSCO, and eventually they ended up getting a divorce in 1995, 1996-ish area. And then eventually he moved to York, Nebraska, where he got a job at a place called Crossroads. I think it had something to do with like building RVs and stuff. Not 100% sure, but he worked at a place called Crossroads. He eventually moved a bunch of different times in York, Nebraska, and he eventually got a job at Central Valley Ag. He had 0 grandchildren but 3 grandpuppies, and obviously 0 great-grandchildren. So the months leading up to his death, me and Chris went and saw him for Christmas. We were driving through York, where he lived, and we saw him for Christmas and dropped off his gift, where we gave him I drew Wally and Eve from Wally, that picture for him, because he liked that movie. He really loves that movie, and that was one of the first movies we went and saw together in theaters, which I thought was really kind of cool. And we talked and had fun, and nothing seemed a little weird or anything like that. New Year's Eve came, and every New Year's Eve we have a tradition with him and his girlfriend at the time, that we go to the skating rink, and they have this big New Year's Eve party for the New Year's, and we go skating there and we celebrate the New Year's every single year for the past 3 years, I think. And this year we decided we were going to do it, but then all of a sudden that day it was snowing super hard, and seeing that my dad and I live in 2 different towns and places, it was a little difficult to travel. So to be safe, we decided to cancel and not go to that. And during this time, over the months, I messaged him on Facebook. He'd always message me randomly asking me how my day was. He was, constantly in my life. He was a big part of my life. So this whole thing was very devastating. So, like I said, talking to him over Facebook, nothing seemed to be off. He never really talked to me about anything super serious as for his health or anything like that. There was a few conversations that were kind of serious, but nothing for his health reasons. It was more for his life in general and his working situation. For his work, he had to get an exam done every year to renew his licensing for, I think, chemicals and stuff like that, I think. So he went in a few weeks before this all happened. He went in and got his physical all done and all of his exam done for it, and there was nothing, as far as I know, there was nothing found on it, and everything seemed to be fine. So the Wednesday before he passed away on a Friday. So a couple days before, I had gotten a bite by something on the back of my arm and a bunch of red, swollen, what looked to be kind of like a hive situation on the back of my arm. And it was like a straight line down my arm. I remember just not understanding what it was, and I was having a reaction to something and I didn't know what it was. So I posted a status on Facebook asking anyone of my friends or family if they knew what this bite was from, if they've ever seen something like this. And I got a bunch of different comments from my family saying that they believed it was bed bugs, including my father. My father thought it was bed bugs as well. Me and Chris's family had an issue with bed bugs before, and in our house we've never had that issue, but we did travel a lot to their house, so it could have happened. Time me and Chris checked our bed, our chairs, everything that a bed bug could be in. We checked and we didn't see a single bed bug. We were pretty sure of it. We also, and at this point I've already stated on my comment section that we've checked for bed bugs, that we do not have any. And everyone continued to just say bed bug, bed bug, bug bug. My dad messaged me and was talking to me about how he believes it was bed bugs, and I remember that day. So this was like Thursday, but into Thursday we have been talking about this bed bug thing and figuring out what it could be. And the only possibilities that me and Chris had discussed is that we believe that at this point it was a spider bite, a spider climbing on my arm, biting me throughout the night, and I have a reaction to it because this isn't the first time I've had something like this. It was just the first time that it was so mini. Typically I get one bite, one little bump, one reaction, one little thing. This was my whole arm, and I believe I do have a picture, so I'll probably insert the picture and probably insert all of my conversations and stuff. I was frustrated. I was so frustrated with my dad. He wasn't listening to me. I was telling him it's not bed bugs, and he still wasn't listening to me. And I remember, I literally think that the last day that I talked to him, we were in a fight, and we were talking about this bed bug thing, and it was the dumbest thing ever. Now looking back on it, but to me at that time it was very serious. And I just remember basically getting mad that he wasn't really listening to how things were going. So I went to bed that night very frustrated, needless to say. The next day, I wake up, everything goes normal. Chris goes to work, I hang out at home, doing chores or whatever. I did my normal stuff. And I remember Chris came home for lunch. We had lunch together, nothing weird. Nothing was going on through the whole day until about 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. I got a message from my aunt on my dad's side. I don't talk to my dad's side as much as I talk to my mom's side. So when I got a message from my aunt, it was weird to me because usually I get my messages from my dad. My dad's my connection. So when I got a message from my aunt, it was a little weird. And I didn't know what to do, so I just said, why? And I believe I either texted my dad to see what was going on or something, because something was going on with my aunt texting me. But eventually she said it's important, just do it, and I'm like, okay, fine. So I gave up, and I think I ended up giving her my number, or I called her number that she gave me, or something in that nature. And I just remember being on the phone with her and she telling me that my dad had passed away at work. My dad is gone. And I remember thinking, no, that's impossible. I just talked to him. In fact, I think literally that morning I texted him at what would have been his break and told him, answered his thing, or I told him something. I don't remember. I remember I answered him that morning, the next morning. So that Friday morning, which would have been his break time, I think, is when I messaged him. Her just saying that, and I couldn't believe it because I literally just talked to him. He didn't say anything was going on. Nothing. Last time I knew, he had like a small little cold, or he got sick a few weeks before. Like a cold, the flu, whatever. It was no big deal. And I remember not knowing exactly what to say. Again, like the gypsy situation, I don't show my emotions to just some random person. And for me, that family is very estranged to me, and at that time I just didn't know what to do. So I didn't know what to say, didn't know what to do, and I remember I got off the phone with her and she said, you need to come to the mortuary place. And I'm like, okay, let me call Chris and I'll be there. So I remember I got off the phone with her and I called Chris instantly. At this time, Chris can't answer his phone on his phone or anything. I tried his cell phone, but he doesn't answer because he's working and his phone is put on his toolbox. So I called the front desk, telling them that I needed to speak with him ASAP right now. And they said, oh, I'll have him call you back. About 5-10 minutes went by. And during that time, I called Chris's mom, I believe. And I was just like in a frantic. I was bawling my eyes out. I couldn't breathe. I was mortified pretty much. And I remember talking with her until Chris called me back. And I got off the phone with her and told her I'd call her back. And then Chris got on the phone with me and I told him that my dad had passed, and he thought I was joking. He thought I was joking, and I was serious about this. It wasn't something I joked about lightly. I don't just call somebody randomly at work when I know they're busy just to make a joke. He didn't know what to say or what to think. And I just remember, I need you to come get me. We need to go to York. We need to go and deal with this. And I remember he pretty much dropped everything to come get me and take me to York. At this time, I couldn't talk. I was bawling so hard, you couldn't understand me. I couldn't talk. Couldn't breathe. I was hyperventilating, having a complete anxiety, pretty much an anxiety attack. But also with the sign of, you just found out your loved one had passed and you don't know what to do. I've never had to deal with this before, so it was just a really hard thing. So I remember I called Chris's mom, Donna, back, and she stayed on the phone with me until Chris got there and was kind of trying to help me through it. I remember I sat in my hallway by the door waiting for Chris so bad. I had Panda at the time. Panda was my dog, and she came to comfort me, make sure I was okay. I remember having her on speakerphone, and I remember Chris came and just gave me the biggest hug ever, and I just remember we have to go. So at this time we head on the road. We're about an hour away from my father's place. So we head on the road, and I remember during that time I got this random phone number call, and now what we believe was a sheriff's office calling me to tell me that he had passed. It's still very hard. I was put in a position that my dad was never married after he divorced my mom. He was just dating someone. I was the only child. I had to make all these decisions because he had nothing planned out. And I remember it being extremely hard for, a 23-year-old not knowing what the heck's going on. This is the first person that I've lost that is so close to me. He was my best friend. I did everything with him. Me and him have always been the tightest we can ever be. If I had a problem at my mom's house, I'd go to him and he'd be there. He was like my best friend, and he is now gone, and I don't know how to exactly deal with that. Just how it pushed me to be closer to my family. I didn't want to be alone. I wanted to be near family. You know, when you lose a parent, it's hard and you don't expect it, and it's the hardest thing you will go through. It's been a year and here I am talking about it and I'm bawling. You know, and Chris was so much help. So I guess a little bit about my dad and his personality is he was very inappropriate. Spoke his mind very much. Funny, but he was also loving and caring, and he loved to do art. And he loved to go fishing. I remember a few things about when I was a kid, I'd go fishing with my dad all the time. And it got to a point where as I got older, I got really tired of going fishing. I can't go fishing. Like, it irritates me. First off, I don't have the patience to sit there and throw out a line and wait for a fish for so dang long. So a lot of times I would mess around. So I remember my dad telling me a story about when I was like 2 years old. I catched my first fish, and all I had on my hook was a worm, and all I did was like I moved it around at the bottom of the little thing. So my dad and I went fishing. I was probably like 13, 14, maybe 15 at this time. Me and my dad went fishing, and this farmer's pond that he got permission from to fish there. And we went fishing, and I just remember my dad being like, "Here, hold my pole. Here's your pole." And I remember I didn't really want to fish. I had no interest in it, so I just kind of did what I did when I was 2. And I kind of just moved my worm around, and all I had was a worm on my hook. And my dad had like chicken gizzards or liver or something like that. And I caught this. I kept catching like little tiny little fish, and I'd always make my dad take them off because I don't touch fish. Fish is gross to me. And one time, he got tired of it. He's like, "Next time you get fish, you're gonna take it off," and all this. So I threw out like one of my line, and I caught a big 5-pound catfish. And that whole day I catched like a little ones here and there, and then I got this really massive big one. My dad catched 0 fish. 0 fish, and I catch this monstrous 5-pound catfish that he had to help me get off. And I just remember that was probably one of the greatest memories ever. I just remember my dad was frustrated that I was catching the fish and he wasn't. And it was just funny because it was like this monstrous big catfish that I caught, and he was like so mad at me. He's like, "I'm never taking you fishing again." And I just thought it was kind of funny because I really didn't want to go fishing in the first place. Big Bob Ross fan. Constantly, I'm pretty sure like most of his paintings is like a Bob Ross painting that he like redid or he ended up doing. What else? He was very into classic cars. like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment down below if you've ever lost a parent, and subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on the bell notification so you're notified when we post every single Friday, or in this case, every single day this week. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye!